Year 12, so this is your first CAT based around the global systems and governance topic. The first question is multiple choice, and then you have got 2 questions subsequently which ask you to demonstrate some of your knowledge. So the first one of those is with relation to a graph. You have got a graph, figure 1, which is a line graph that shows remittances and other flows to developing countries. And it's between 1990 to 2015. The question then asks you to analyse the data shown, and it's a 6-mark question. So looking at this graph, it can look quite overwhelming at the start because you've got quite a lot of information shown. The key thing to do is to unpick it, first of all, by looking at each of the lines individually. So I would suggest, for example, that you start with foreign direct investment and look at how that's changed over time. Remittance, don't forget, is about money that's being sent back from host countries to countries of origin, for example, from migrants. So you should have that definition written in your notes somewhere. So look at what's happened to that. You've also got a line about private debt, and then you've got something called ODA. It does say underneath the what that is. It's overseas development aid. So in terms of analysing the data, you need to be able to describe what's happening. Make sure that you manipulate data as well wherever possible. So rather than just saying it's gone up from this to this, see if you can do some manipulation, and also consider whether there are links between any of the lines. And in fact, you can see that there absolutely are. A couple of the lines, the red line on here, the green line, do show some sort of some patterns that are the same or at least similar. So look at unpicking that. You don't need to explain why this is happening. There's no need to do that, but you need to be looking to manipulate data, use data, and to, in this case, look for links between the data that's there. The next question, the last question, then asks you how much are flows of capital, labour, products, services and information a cause of globalisation or a consequence of it? And so this is really a sort of to what extent question. So on that basis, you need to make sure that you have got a little sentence at the end that summarises what you're saying. Indeed, you know, are the flows of capital, labour, etc. Causes of globalisation? Don't forget, globalisation is about the interconnection and the interdependence of countries, or actually are they consequences of it? And what you might want to do is to choose 2 or 3 of those to talk about specifically, and consider whether there's a difference actually. You know, could you argue, for example, that the flow of labour, you know, the flow of people that are moving around the world, actually, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you could argue that it's both. It's both a cause of globalisation because as a result of people moving around the world, that's making countries more interdependent and interconnected. That even leads to things like remittance monies being sent back and forth. But also, you know, it's not possible to have the movement of labour around the world unless globalisation exists already, because those transport networks and those interconnections in terms of infrastructure need to exist in order to allow people to move in the first place. So that's quite a complicated question. You need to really think about, I would say, 2 or 3 of these flows that are listed and consider exactly that. To what extent are they either a reason why the world is more interconnected, or indeed do they only happen because of the interconnection of countries? And don't forget to make a little judgment at the end of your answer. Wherever possible as well, of course, you could use examples. You'll have some really lovely examples from your first couple of lessons of this topic where you've got some evidence about, you know, what are the flows, how is capital, how is labour, how are products moving around the world. So see if you can bring some of those in as well.